The sun hung low over the Wyoming plains, painting the sky in hues of amber and crimson. Caleb Holt leaned against the weathered post of the stagecoach station, his hat tipped low to shield his eyes from the glare. His calloused hands fidgeted with the letter in his pocket, its edges worn from months of rereading. The words were etched in his memory. Dear Mr. Holt, I am Miss Clara Beaumont, aged 23, seeking a new life in the West. I am agreeable to your proposal of marriage and will arrive on the 15th of September. That was today. Caleb's heart thudded with a mix of anticipation and nerves. He'd been alone on his ranch for too long, the silence broken only by the lowing of cattle and the whistle of the wind. The idea of a wife, a partner, had seemed like a dream when he placed the ad in the Eastern papers. Clara's letter, with its neat script and polite tone, had sparked hope. She described herself as practical, kind, and unafraid of hard work. Perfect for a rancher's life. The distant rumble of the stagecoach snapped him out of his thoughts. Dust billowed as the wagon creaked to a stop, the driver shouting, "Laramie Station." Caleb straightened, brushing dirt from his vest. The door swung open, and he held his breath. Two women stepped down, their faces obscured by wide-brimmed bonnets. They were dressed identically in pale blue calico dresses, their figures slight and graceful. As they turned, Caleb froze. The faces peering out from under those bonnets were mirror images, same chestnut curls, same hazel eyes, same faint freckles dusting their noses. Identical twins. Mr. Holt, one of them called, her voice bright but uncertain. Caleb's mouth went dry. He'd prepared for one bride, not two. He tipped his hat, stepping forward. That's me, Caleb Holt. I'm expectin' Miss Clara Beaumont. The twins exchanged a glance, and the one who'd spoken smiled nervously. I'm Clara. This is my sister, Cora. Cora nodded, her expression more guarded. Pleased to meet you, Mr. Holt. Caleb's mind raced. The letter hadn't mentioned a sister, let alone an identical twin. He cleared his throat. Forgive me, but I wasn't expectin' two of you. Clara's cheeks flushed. I'm so sorry. I meant to explain in my letter, but, well, Cora decided to come along at the last minute. We've never been apart, you see, and I couldn't leave her behind in Boston. Cora's eyes narrowed slightly, as if daring him to object. Caleb rubbed the back of his neck, unsure what to say. The stagecoach driver, sensing the awkwardness, tipped his hat and drove off, leaving the three of them standing in the dust. Well, Caleb said finally, let's get your things to the wagon. Ranch is a few miles out. We can figure this out. The ride to the ranch was quiet, save for the creak of the wagon and the clop of hooves. Clara sat beside Caleb on the bench, her hands folded neatly in her lap, while Cora sat in the back with their trunks, her gaze fixed on the horizon. Caleb stole glances at Clara, trying to reconcile the woman beside him with the one he'd imagined. She was pretty, no doubt, with a gentle smile that put him at ease. But Cora's presence complicated things. Was she staying, visiting? He didn't have room, or resources, for an extra mouth to feed. The ranch came into view, a modest spread with a log house, a barn, and a corral where a few horses grazed. Clara's eyes widened. It's lovely, she said softly. So open. Cora snorted from the back. Open's one word for it. Empty's another. Caleb bristled but kept his tone even. It's a workin' ranch. Takes time to build something out here. Inside the house, Caleb showed them to the spare room, a small space with a single bed and a washstand. I'll bunk in the barn for now, he said. You two can share this. Clara looked horrified. Oh, no, Mr. Holt, we couldn't. Caleb, he corrected. And it's fine. I'm used to roughin' it. Cora crossed her arms. If you're sure. But don't expect us to sit idle. We're not delicate city flowers. Over the next few days, Caleb learned just how true that was. Clara threw herself into the household chores with enthusiasm, cooking hearty meals and scrubbing floors with a vigor that impressed him. She had a knack for making the plain ranch house feel like a home, humming as she worked. Cora, on the other hand, was restless. She'd wander the property, inspecting fences or watching the hired hands with the cattle. She asked pointed questions about the ranch's operations, her sharp mind catching details Caleb hadn't expected. One evening, as Clara served a stew she'd made from scratch, Caleb broached the subject weighing on him. Miss Cora, if you don't mind my askin', what's your plan? You stayin' here long? Clara froze, her ladle hovering over the pot. Cora met his gaze, unflinching. I'm not here to be a burden, if that's what you're worried about. I'll find work in town if need be. Cora's good with numbers, Clara interjected. She kept the books for a shop in Boston. Maybe she could help with the ranch's accounts. Caleb hesitated. The ranch's finances were a mess, and he'd been meaning to hire a bookkeeper. But the idea of Cora, sharp-tongued and skeptical, digging into his ledgers made him uneasy. Still, he nodded. Could use the help, I suppose. As weeks passed, a strange rhythm settled over the ranch. Clara and Caleb grew closer, their conversations easy and warm. She'd laugh at his dry humor, and he found himself looking forward to her company. But Cora was a puzzle. She'd taken over the accounts with ruthless efficiency, pointing out discrepancies and suggesting ways to cut costs. Yet she kept her distance, her guarded demeanor a stark contrast to Clara's openness. One night, after Clara had gone to bed, Caleb found Cora in the barn, brushing down his mare. "You're up late," he said. "Couldn't sleep," she replied, not looking at him. "This place, it's different from Boston." "Different good or different bad?" She paused, her hand still on the brush. "Both. Clara loves it here. She's always wanted a home, a family. Me, I don't know what I want." Caleb leaned against a stall. "Why'd you come, then?" Cora's eyes flicked to him, sharp and searching. "Clara's my twin. Where she goes, I go. But I didn't expect," she trailed off, then shook her head. "Never mind." He didn't press her, but her words lingered. There was something unspoken between the sisters, a tension he couldn't quite grasp. The turning point came in late October, when a storm rolled in from the mountains. Rain lashed the ranch, and a section of fencing collapsed, letting a dozen cattle scatter. Caleb and the hired hands rode out to round them up, but the work was grueling in the mud and wind. To his surprise, Cora saddled a horse and joined them, her bonnet tied tight against the storm. She rode with a confidence that rivaled the men, herding strays with a sharp whistle and a steady hand. By the time they returned, soaked and exhausted, Caleb saw Cora in a new light. She wasn't just Clara's shadow, she was a force in her own right. That night, as they dried off by the fire, Clara beaming with pride at her sister's efforts, Caleb made a decision. "Cora," he said, "you've got a place here, if you want it. Not just for Clara's sake, but for yours. Ranch could use someone like you." Cora's eyes widened, and for once, she seemed at a loss for words. Clara squeezed her hand, her smile radiant. "See, Cora, I told you this could be home." But the peace didn't last. A week later, a man arrived in Laramie, claiming to be a friend of the Beaumont family. His name was Edwin Marsh, a slick-talking merchant from Boston with a too-perfect smile. He said he'd come to check on the twins, but his questions about the ranch, and Caleb's finances, set Cora on edge. "He's no friend," she told Caleb privately. "He's after something." Back in Boston, he tried to court Clara, but she turned him down. "I don't trust him." Caleb's gut agreed. When Edwin suggested Clara return to Boston, for her own good, Caleb confronted him. "She's my fiancée," he said, his voice low but firm. "She stays." Edwin's smile didn't waver. "Fiancée. My, that's news. And what of Cora? Surely you don't intend to keep both sisters under your roof." The implication stung, and Caleb's temper flared. "You got no business here, Marsh. Leave." Edwin left, but not before whispering something to Clara that left her pale and shaken. That night, she confessed to Caleb. "Edwin knows something about our past," she said, her voice trembling. "Our father, he owed debts. Edwin helped cover them, but he thinks we owe him. I thought coming here would leave all that behind." Cora, listening from the doorway, stepped forward. "He's bluffing. He's got no claim on us. But if he tries anything, I'll handle it." Caleb admired her fire but worried about what Edwin might do. Sure enough, the merchant lingered in Laramie, spreading rumors about the strange arrangement at the Holt Ranch. Whispers reached the townsfolk, and Caleb noticed curious glances when he went to market. Clara grew quieter, her usual warmth dimmed by worry. Determined to settle things, Caleb rode into town to confront Edwin. He found him at the saloon, charming a group of locals. "Marsh," Caleb called, "you're leaving Laramie tonight." Edwin laughed, but his eyes were cold. "Or what, Cowboy? You think you can scare me off? Those girls are trouble. You'll see." Caleb's fist clenched, but Cora's voice cut through the tension. "Enough, Edwin. She'd followed him, her chin high. You've got no hold over us. Try anything, and I'll make sure everyone in Boston knows about your shady deals. The saloon went quiet. Edwin's face reddened, but he backed down, muttering about ungrateful women before slinking out. The townsfolk, sensing the drama's end, returned to their drinks. Back at the ranch, Caleb and the twins sat down to talk. Clara admitted she'd feared Edwin's influence, but Cora's defiance had given her courage. I want to stay, Clara said, taking Caleb's hand. If you'll still have me. Caleb smiled, his heart lighter than it had been in months. Reckon I'd be a fool to let you go. Cora rolled her eyes but grinned. You're not wrong, but I'm staying too. Someone's got to keep you both in line. As winter settled over the ranch, the three of them found a new balance. Clara and Caleb planned a spring wedding, while Cora took on more responsibility, her sharp mind shaping the ranch's future. The twins, so different yet inseparable, brought life to the once lonely homestead.